Carissa.
Hi.
Glad you came in today. I know you called me because you were worried about some what you felt were obsessive compulsive traits.
Yes.
And I did some assessments and some evaluations, and it does look like that you have obsessive compulsive traits, or what most people call OCD. So today what we're going to do is talk about what those symptoms look like, what the treatment will look like, and what the rationale is behind that treatment, why it works. And it is very successful, but it takes a commitment from you to come twice a week to therapy and to do homework every day when you're not here. So tell me about, I know I've taken a history, but tell me in your own words what your symptoms are and why they are a problem for you.
Well, when I'm at home, I have to check the doors frequently to make sure that they are locked. During the day, it's not as much, but at night, I get up more and more to check the doors, and if my husband is gone, then I get up a lot during the night to check the doors and make sure they're locked and the garage door is closed.
How often do you think you do this at night when your husband's not at home?
Maybe 6 or 7 times a night.
And that's caused a problem in your life?
Yes. I'm exhausted all the time, very gripey, snappy at people at work and at home.
Is it difficult to get up and go to work?
Yes, I'm exhausted in the morning.
Okay, so it's really disrupting your life.
Yes.
What about your relationship with your husband and your friends and your family?
I get very snappy with them. I don't want to go do anything because I'm just too tired. I just don't want to go anywhere.
Okay, so have you got to the point in your life where you want to commit to some therapy and try to get better?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, because it does take a real time commitment. So let's talk about what your symptoms look like. And like 1% of the population has obsessive compulsive traits. So let's talk about, and we call it gets in a vicious cycle where you have these, and do you know anything that may have triggered this checking behavior with you?
Well, at one point, while my husband was gone, it sounded like someone was breaking in, and it turned out it wasn't. So now I just feel like I need to make sure that everything's closed and secure.
Okay, so how long ago was that? How long have you had this checking behavior?
About 5 years or so.
Okay, so quite a while. So what happens is usually some kind of trauma happens that you create this fear in your life, and it becomes overwhelming, and the anxiety becomes overwhelming, and so you have to find a way to release that anxiety, release that tension, and so you find out some kind of behavior or ritual that you believe will keep you safe. So yours is the checking behavior, checking the doors over and over again. So what happens is you have these fears and these thoughts, these obsessive thoughts, and it causes anxiety, and then so you have created this ritual of checking the doors multiple times, and that relieves your anxiety temporarily.
Yes.
For a little while. So that sort of reinforced that behavior. You say, well, that worked a little, but then it always comes back.
Yes.
The obsessive thoughts always come back, so you get in this vicious cycle of the obsession and then the ritual, and then you get a little relief, and then it comes back, and you're in that vicious cycle again. So it never really goes away or resolves itself with the checking behavior. And then you do an exaggeration that something really bad is going to happen if you don't check the doors. Okay, so what we're going to do today is talk about this treatment, and it's called exposure and ritual prevention. And what we're going to do is you're going to come, it's possibly 17 weeks, maybe more depending on you. You're going to come twice a week to my office for 2 hours each time, and then in between sessions I'm going to call you on the phone, and we're going to have a conversation, and I'm going to check on you between sessions. Okay, and you're actually, what therapy we do in session, you will actually be doing that at home in between sessions also, and I'll teach you how to do that. Okay, so this treatment, exposure and ritual prevention, it is and it's very successful as long as you stick with the program and through the entire length of time. And what happens is, for a lot of OCD sufferers, we can actually recreate their fears in session, in the office. You know, like people that are afraid of germs, I can make them shake my hand or touch the floors and then touch themselves in their face without washing their hands, which is usually their ritual. With yours, it's going to be impossible for us to recreate this in session because you don't do this anyplace else but your home.
Right.
And so we'll also schedule some home sessions, a couple of home sessions, to make sure that it's working well for you at home and for me to be able to see how that goes for you. But what we'll do, since we can't do that, I will have you imagine that you're at home and that, you know, you're anxious. You get that fear and then it builds up and then you want to check the doors, but I'm going to ask you to resist doing that. During this whole process, you need to resist those checking rituals. And then we have, let me show you, and this is all in your workbook. Everything I show you is also in your workbook, so you can go back and look at that or show your husband what it looks like and share it with him. Real life exposure to obsessive thoughts. That'll be something you'll be doing at home. And then also I'll come visit you at home and see that. Imaginal exposure is what we're going to be doing in session. Imagining that you're at home and the fear is coming up. Then I have you always in session and at home, you're going to be using a SUD scale, which is subjective units of discomfort or distress. And it's a scale from 0 to 100, where you're going to be able to scale and say, okay, how anxious am I? With 0 being, I'm not anxious at all, to 100 being, I can't stand this anxiety. It's overwhelming. So you'll always scale it that way to see, and as you set with these thoughts and not complete the ritual or the checking, your SUDS level should go down as you see with the anxiety that nothing bad is happening. Even though you didn't check, nothing bad happened. So the SUDS scale should go down. Ritual prevention, we're just going to ask that you do not perform that checking behavior at all. Okay? And then, of course, we'll have a few home visits. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do, and these are also in your workbook, I'm going to give you today a self-monitoring form. And I'll make enough copies where you have one of these for every day. And starting tomorrow, you're going to log, as soon as you get up, when you feel the distress, you're going to log when that happens. And what your anxiety level was, what your SUDS level was, okay? And then a description of what you did, okay? So you're going to keep that so that you can bring it back to me and we can look at every day what happened as you're progressing through therapy, okay? Then, and these are in your workbook too, and the workbook has all the information that I also tell you in session, so you can go back and review it. But this week I want you to read on page 1 and 2 OCD facts, okay, so that you can learn a little more about this disorder and know what it looks like, and there are all kinds of subtypes of OCD, and you have one that's called a checking behavior, okay, is what you have developed, but it's a very successful therapy. So, and these are also in your workbook, but I'm going to give you plenty of copies. Okay. And then also I have an appointment scheduled for you, and like I said, you're going to come twice a week. And we've got you scheduled for every Monday and every Wednesday at 5 p.m.
Okay.
And then you have said that 5 p.m. is good for you, so I'll also be calling you on Fridays at 5 p.m. to check on you and see how things are going and see if you need any help with anything. So do you have any questions at this point?
I don't think so.
Okay. So now what will happen is I'm going to send you home with this self-monitoring log. And all you're going to do is log those checking behaviors and that anxiety, okay, tomorrow on Tuesday. Then I will see you on Wednesday.
Okay.
And we'll actually start the actual therapy in session, and I'll teach you how to do it too, so that you can practice it at home, okay? And the in vivo therapy, which is the real life therapy, I'll teach you that also, even though we can't do it in session, so that you can practice at home, okay? So I'm going to send you home with these and your workbook so that you can start your log and starting your reading assignment, and then I will see you again for our second session on Wednesday.